you?
Girl, I'm here. I'm doing like a million things. I was trying to get this stuff, these things situated for an ebook that I'm about to bring out and last minute.
Okay.
But I'm good. I am good.
Good.
How are you? You look beautiful.
Girl, I'm just trying to make it through the day. Just trying to make it.
I already know how that goes.
Gosh, we're on quarantine at home for my kids. There was like a positive COVID case at school.
So wait, you just have one or what?
I have two. I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and my daughter's school got closed down because of just where numbers are here. So she's just been going to the preschool, and they had a positive case, not in their classes, but they just shut the whole school down. So we're just chilling at home for 2 weeks.
I know how that is. That's how we were when COVID first started. It was me, my daughter, and my grandmother, and I was just like, well, I guess we're gonna just hang out in the house.
But the thing is, I am not the good stay-at-home mom. It's my husband, and so if we would have been able to choose, he at home, and then it was me because my job now allows that. I will say that, like, I feel like a much better mother since that.
I agree.
But it's still hard.
Yeah, I agree. So quick question. Tell me how to pronounce your last name. I don't want to butcher it.
It's okay. It's just how it's spelled. Lingafelter.
Lingafelter. Okay. I thought that's what it was, but I was like, let me make sure there's no,
no weird.
Letters.
Yeah. Silent. No, people add letters. My mom, she's like Lingenfelter. I'm like, that's not my name.
Oh my goodness. So I'm so excited. I want to thank you for taking your time to come and have this conversation. It's very near and dear to me.
Same. And I hope I give you what you're looking for, because I'm no expert, but man, I've been I'm trying to make like huge changes, and I'm like, I guess in the midst of all that, if I can share what I'm doing to help others, and I'm all means.
Yep. And so that's what it's all about, right? And so with Conversations with a Clinician, it's a space for not just mental health professionals, but everyday people, right? So kind of talk about what their challenges have been with whatever, issues, whether it's food, whether it's relationships, whether it's finances, everything has the ability to impact our mental health. And so
I love that you're doing this. I think
thank you.
No problem.
All right, so this is what's going to happen. We're about to go live in a second.
Okay.
I have like a disclaimer that I start with.
Okay.
And then just kind of talking about mental illness and mental wellness. And then I'll give your bio. And then we're going to go into the questions. The first question is always, who are you, right? I know what your bio says, but just really give me a little bit about who you are, what your story is, and how you got here today.
Sure.
And so, my husband also created like a little intro thing, so I'm going to try to figure out if I can play that.
Okay.
I'm like super learning all this technology now. It is so funny. All right.
Yeah.
All right, so we are going to go live, and I'll try to tag you once we go live.
Okay.
I meant to ask, did you have any questions for me?
I don't think so. We just gonna wing it. That's what I do best.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, technology moving kind of slow. And it's usually like a little delay. So
Okay.
once I get everything like situated out,
Okay.
we'll be good to go.
Okay.
I think, all right, here we are. We are live. Ashley Lowe-Simmons, and welcome to another edition of Conversations with a Clinician. I think it's still playing, so I'll let it. So delayed. So hey, everybody. It is November the 25th, 2020, the day before Thanksgiving. I am so excited that you all were able to join us on today for our food and mental health edition of Conversations with a Clinician. So please share, invite your friends. We are going to have insightful dialogue about mental health. It's an overly stigmatized topic, and it's necessary for us all to address it. So Conversations with a Clinician is a place for us to have conversations about mental health and other topics and how they impact our daily lives. So these conversations are held every second and fourth Wednesday right here on my Facebook page at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 7:45 p.m. Central Standard Time, 6:45 p.m. Mountain Time. And if you are on the West Coast, that is 5:45 p.m. So I want you to mark your calendars, tell your friends, and do not miss out on this opportunity to find ways to improve our overall mental health. So the purpose of Conversations with a Clinician is merely to provide a candid space to have conversations with mental health professionals and other individuals that have somehow been impacted by mental health, whether directly or indirectly, and to be able to provide our listeners with valuable insight and practical strategies to decrease the stigma that's attached to mental health and to begin to improve our overall mental well-being, as well as to provide valuable resources and tools. So we're not just talking, but we're acting, and we're finding those tools that are necessary to help us to feel better, to be better, and to do our best. So I am the clinician, and it's important for me to just provide you with some information on what mental health is and what mental illness is. So mental health is just your overall state of well-being and how you're able to do the different things in your life, how you're able to cope with the normal stressors of life, how well you work productively, what your relationships are like, and how well you're able to engage in the community. Mental health is the foundation of our individual well-being, and it determines how well we maneuver through our lives. Now, on the flip side, mental illness, everyone does not have a mental illness. All of us have mental health, though. So 1 in 5 individuals have some type of mental illness. That does not mean they're crazy. That means that they have been diagnosed with a collection of a mental health disorder by a mental health professional. And these disorders have the ability to affect our thinking, our mood, and our behavior. So tonight, our guest is my twin named Ashley Linga Felter. She is a wife, a mother, and a nurse. She has a master's degree in nursing leadership, and she has been practicing in this field for the last 10 years in the maternal child world. This is a very high stress job, so it was easy for her to fall into poor habits, But throughout this pandemic, she has realized one very important thing, how imperative it is to live a healthy lifestyle. She has a passion for her family, her dog, and most importantly, herself. She has a passion for mental health and wellness. And for the last 3.5 years, Ashley has followed a whole food, plant-based diet. That deserves some applause because that's hard work. So without further ado, I am introducing to you Ashley Lingerfelter. Welcome
Hello.
to Conversations with a Clinician, Ashley. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm doing well. I appreciate you inviting me and allowing me to participate in what you are doing. I believe in it so much, and I'm just really grateful to be here.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you agreed to come on. So let's just dive in, right? So
Let's do it.
I gave your bio, and it sounded amazing. But tell me, who is Ashley? How did you transition from where you were to where you are today?
Since we're diving right in, I'm also gonna dive right in. I'm just a girl. But I am a girl, an individual who has dealt with anxiety and depression for a better part of my life, and that includes today. I have often found myself in situations where I'm just unsure of kind of how to cope. Even during happy times, we all know, right? You're sad, you eat, you are happy, you eat. And that's kind of the habit that I had fallen into. I feel like throughout my life, though, I've been able to tackle those issues and become kind of successful, or so I thought. I am a mom of 2 great kids, a wife to an amazing husband. I'm successful in my career, but all of that has continued to take a toll on my person, and anxiety has continued to be a part of my life. I've had some pretty defining moments as a wife, mother, a sister, a nurse, a leader, and those experiences have really kind of defined who I am today. And I'll talk to you, a little bit more about those throughout tonight.
Awesome. So I'm glad that you shared that with us, Ashley. Just because, like me, I'm a therapist. I've been in mental health for several years. I've worked in juvenile corrections. I worked in a number of jobs, and depression and anxiety is very present, right? It's something that I still have to fight. This last week has been like really hard, right? And so what I've understood is that when you're dealing with anxiety and depression and any mental health diagnosis, it's a fight.
It
Right?
is a fight. Yes, it
You
is.
have to be willing to fight and say, I'm going to have to figure out what I need to do in my life to be well, to make me feel better, to help me cope. Because you can live a productive life and you can be a professional and you can be successful and still have these struggles.
Yes. Oh,
right?
Yes.
I mean, it's real. You can be married, you can be a wife, you can have children. Like, it's a real situation. It's no need for us to continue to hide it and not talk about it, because that's why so many people, you think about the suicide rates, right? It's not okay. And so that's why this platform was started, just to start having those conversations and begin to normalize mental health.
Yes.
So as we're talking about food and mental health, there's this saying that says, you are what you eat. Do you believe this? And if so, what does that mean for you?
Yes, I wholeheartedly believe that. And I'm sure many of you can relate. A lot of us have, right, that excitement when we anticipate getting our favorite snack, that Frappuccino, that Thanksgiving plate we all about to get tomorrow. But how often do you feel really great after? If we're enjoying the good, then you feel great, then more power to you. I'd love to talk to you. But many of those times we're not. And so that means a lot of work needs to be done. I've made some massive changes in my life, and it is only now that I'm seeing those things for what they were then, that it's not normal to feel like duty, if I could say that, after you eat what you think are your favorite things,
Yeah. Awesome. So I completely agree with this. Like you are what you eat, right? And I feel like that doesn't just pertain to food.
No.
Right? I know I have an activity that I do with some of my clients, and it's even when you think about the things that we're ingesting, right? All of our gates, right? Our ear gate, our eye gate, our mouth. all of those, right? What are you consuming on TV? What are you listening to? What are you watching, right? All of those things have the ability to produce emotions and feelings and all of that. And so we are what we consume.
Mm-hmm.
So I completely agree with that.
I also agree.
So what is your current relationship with food, and what was your journey in the transitioning like for you?
Okay, well, I'll kind of tell you guys and share my story about kind of that defining moment. So if it hasn't already been apparent, I am an emotional eater. I remember, I don't even remember when it was. It wasn't that long ago. I think it was pre-COVID. So even before all the crazy. I had come home, picked up the kids. They were yelling in the car. I had a rough day at work. I needed to come home and kind of wash away the day, right? I wanted to just get in the shower. I got in the shower and it was cold. I don't know why. I was ready to yell at whoever had used all the hot water, or my husband, because the water heater was broken. But I didn't. And I went in, I did get dressed. Because I had gotten in the shower. So that was even worse, that I made it in the shower.
Right.
Cold. I walked in the kitchen and grabbed my keys and put on my coat. My husband's like, "Where are you going?" I was like, "To get a Diet Coke and some big Reese's cups." And that in and of itself, I was like, is that how we're handling this situation? Yeah. So that was a while ago, and I've still struggled kind of after that, but that moment really stuck with me. And that moment. And then I think that thing that I think of when I'm like, what made you change? I also got a huge push from my baby brother. I got to give him a shout out on here. Also, not ago, he really sat me down and said, Ashley, I love you. You are a great mom. You are a great wife. You're a great nurse, but you never talk about what you are doing for you. It's always the kids. Mm-hmm. And nothing that's just Ashley. And that was pretty huge. So really after that was about 6 months ago. So after that, I decided that I needed to change. I have really dived into fitness. I've set goals for myself. I have created my own community of support within a Facebook group that I have developed, and kind of here I am. I like to say that my Facebook classification would have been, it's complicated. Mm-hmm. Even when that started. And today I would now say that we're separated, right? In my mind, I know the decisions that I want to make. I know that food and I can no longer be together the way that we were. Food has even moved out. That you get caught in the moment, right? But I'm only human, and all I have left to do is really sign those divorce papers and keep it moving. I'm getting there, and really for me, it's slow and steady. Perfection is not my goal, but I know I'm getting there.
Oh my gosh. You said a handful. I mean, you really broke down your relationship with food, right? Yeah. And that's what it's all about. What relationship do you have with food? Just here in the last 3 years, I've experienced some really some loss that was really close to me, right? And so I lost my father last year in October. One of my relatives, he used to travel overseas. He lived in Mexico. He lived in Cambodia, Thailand, all of these different places. And he didn't have children, but he practically helped to raise me and my brother. And so he got murdered overseas, right? And so
I'm sorry.
Thank you. So like from hearing, from having to deal with that and have to navigate, with the U.S. embassy over there and the foreign embassy and all of those things at the same time that my father started getting really sick, like I literally told my grandmother, I was like, I am almost back to my pregnancy weight. And so I would eat, I love candy. I love food. I love cooking. All types of foods. And so I would just kind of like fall into the food, and it would make me feel better. However, I could feel the weight that I was carrying around because I was gaining weight because I was eating unhealthy eating habits, right? Yes. And so when you broke that down to that relationship that you had with food, it really falls down to you making a decision. Like, this is not good for me. This is not the life that I want to live. And I'm going to have to make a change, because food isn't going to come and say, hey, we're breaking up. No, food is going to be like, eat me. I look good. I taste good. I smell good. Right.
Yeah. Right. No, that's exactly right. And, I do have a lot of support. My husband eats healthy. I'm going to have to give a lot of this credit to him. I would not be, I think, a lot of who I am today without him. And even, like I said, my baby brother, but it was ultimately up to me. I had to be the one who made that decision. And this time, with what I had going on in my mind and that support, it just clicked.
Yeah. And then the fact that you had those, you had your husband and you had your brother who were supporting you. But when you made that decision, you created a whole Facebook group of other individuals that could continue to support you on this process.
Yes.
Like, that's important for us to understand. I often hear a lot of clients saying, like, I don't like people. I don't want to deal with people. And I mean, I get it, right? But let's really process the relationships that you have had and whether or not those relationships were healthy for you. Because though you say you don't like people, we all need someone. None of us can do this thing called life alone. That's not how we were created. And so it's important that you find those individuals that you can trust your process with and that you can be vulnerable with, and they're going to hold you up and hold you accountable and say, you know what, I know it's tough, but let's keep it going.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So my next question for you, Ashley, is what kinds of struggles have you had with food, and what did you do to overcome them? And were there any consequences associated with your unhealthy food choices?
Sure. I think in terms of consequences, like actual consequences. So for me personally, I'm lactose intolerant. Many would not say that dairy is an unhealthy choice per se, but for me, that was not a good choice. But you better believe, like at most family, get-togethers, when there's cheesy potatoes or cheesy something, like I'm ready on my plate. And the supportive husband that I have is like, are you sure you want to do that? And I'm like, and every single time regret. And just how messed up is that. And then kind of the other struggles, like you mentioned, I have major sweet tooth. And even this switch to whole food plant-based has not been very difficult. Meat, that's okay. It's the sweet tooth. Milk chocolate is, and dark chocolate is. But and I could even breaking it down further, like a Reese's peanut butter cup, the big cups, the 2-pack, I was eating them almost daily. I could find a reason to need to go to the gas station with my kids to get them a snack, but then I get a snack. They were life. But as I started my journey, even knowing I would have ups and downs, I made a commitment to specifically stay away from those because they were just like my crack. And there were times that I would go to the gas station. I'd pick one up, like, I'm doing okay, Ashley, maybe you can have it. And I'd look at them like, and they are, eat me. And I would put them down. And, I have support in my household, but I also have 2 lovely ladies that I get to work with every single day that have been a huge support, and being able to go to talk to them through that the next day and having them celebrate that with me has been, pretty huge, and recognizing that as a small success and then being able to continue doing that. So those have kind of like literal consequences and then some of my struggles.
Awesome. And so you said something, we're going to touch on it further down. Just talking about foods being addictive, you said it was like, right? And so like, when you think about certain substances, there are certain substances that we can use and they trigger things in our brain. And it's like, there's a craving and there's a strong desire. And so you have to figure out what it is that you need to do to pull back. For you, you were like, yeah, I hear you talking to me and I really want you, but I know that I don't need you. Right. And so that's kind of like look at my wants versus my needs and make the best decision for me. Cause I know what it's going to be like if I don't make that decision. Right. Okay. Almost like relapse, right? Like I was doing good. Boom. Yeah. I was trying to maintain and now I'm back again.
And, in full transparency, like a couple weeks ago, I was like, I have made it 5 months and I can, and I'm proud of what I did, because I did get that 2-pack of those big cups, and I actually didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. So I guess it was a momentary relapse, but I didn't have that high that I had before. So I have not touched one again since then. And so I'm still okay with what with that happening even.
Yeah. We have to understand that when you're trying to break away from anything, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a drug that you use, whether it's food, or it's just simply an unhealthy choice, there are habits that we've created by constantly going to these things. And so it's normal for us. And so when we make the decision to pull back and pull apart, it's like, I don't know, like, oh man, I went back to him again. Like, I know I shouldn't have, but I went back again. But it's okay because I removed myself once, and I know that I can do it again. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And so you just have to have that confidence and that trust in yourself, and understand that you might relapse and you might fall back into it. But if you did it once, you can do it again.
Absolutely.
So you said that it was easy to make the transition. So my question is, as a wife and as a mother, what tools do you use to help you and your children and your husband to shift and choose healthier food options?
Yeah, so this was not my decision.
Oh, okay.
It was. I'll be clear. I will share with you. This was not my decision. And I know that we have some questions and some things to talk about later on, and I can dive into that. Mm-hmm. But balance. You know, we made a major change in 2017, and my husband was really good about introducing it. Like, why don't we maybe eat less meat? And then it was like, how are we going to get the, kids' diet change at school? And I was like, what? And, that was a lot for me, but that was also a lot for my daughter. She was 3 at the time. Mm-hmm. And what was really important, my husband is perfectionist. He was wrapping meatloaf and bacon, and the next day didn't touch meat. So that. So that was a conversation that we had to have, allowing her to still enjoy certain meals at school. I think that, again, the first day after we made that switch, told me that she brought meatballs out, and she goes, "Oh, I love those."
Oh,
can I give her the meatballs? I'm like, give the girl the meatballs. And there's certain meals that, like, should we allow her to have? And I'm okay with what we've been doing in this 3 years. My daughter has consumed more fruits and vegetables than many adults I see today. She asked for salads for lunch. People see her plate and they're like, how do you get her to eat that? I'm like, I don't. Like, she does that on her own. Does she pig out on candy if I let her? Yes. I want to teach her why we do what we do. I want to talk through with her how food makes our body feel. Last night we laid in bed and she said, what is skinny? What is healthy? And we talked about, she initiated that, and we talk about it. I want her to be able to, as she gets older, leave our house, or once she's out of our house for good, be able to make well-informed decisions about what she puts in her body, not run to have everything we didn't let her have.
Yeah.
That's what's most important.
Yeah, that's really good. So I just, and I don't mind, I never mind being transparent or sharing my testimony, because I've come to this place in my life, like, hey, you're going to accept me with every flaw that I have, or deuces. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. So I just recently, I had to go to the doctor because I had been having like some chest pains or whatever. And so I knew, I live in Ohio now. I was living in Maryland. And in Maryland, they had told me like, hey, your cholesterol is a little high. But I felt like I eat fairly healthy. But when I would cook my vegetables, I would cook my vegetables with butter. Right. Yeah. And so not knowing what the effect of that was, I'm like, oh, I'm eating vegetables. Like, it's not like I'm eating a bunch of fried foods and all of these things. And so just from me adding butter to my vegetables when I would cook, it caused my cholesterol to be pretty high. So it went down. I went to the doctor again. They said it's back up high again. And they're like, oh, and the bad cholesterol levels. And so I had already told my husband, I'm like, okay, so I want to start to shift the way that we eat. We have 4 children between both of us. And so I'm like, between ages 8 and 15, all of these years, they've been used to eating all of these sugary, salty, unhealthy foods. They eat healthy items, but how can we start to shift and not get chips when we go to the grocery store and push more fruits and vegetables on them, right? Yes. And so I'm like, we have to figure out like how to make healthier choices. And so the other night I made boneless wings, right? Well, I made regular wings and boneless wings, and I put them in the air fryer. but I had also made the cauliflower, you know how you
Yeah.
make the
Yes.
cauliflower?
Yeah, we eat that.
And I didn't even, and so I said, what I'm going to do is I'm not even going to say anything to anybody. I'm going to make it. I'm going to coat it. I'm going to batter it just like I did the chicken. And I'm going to see who said something. I think only one of our children said something, but the others, they didn't even know. They said,
Oh yeah.
oh, I thought it looked different.
Yeah.
But it tasted the same. And so for me, I'm like, okay, if I have to sneak it for you to try it, and you eat it, I know it's something that you'll eat.
Oh, no shame. My kids think we're having chicken or turkey. We're having tofurkey tomorrow. They don't. It's fine. We call it chicken. I'm like, oh yeah, that's chicken. It's tofu.
Yes.
The day, and they're kind of their mood that we share. We tell them on some days this is tofu, but other days, if you want to call that chicken, it's chicken.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And I was sitting, I don't know if you know her, but I believe her name is like Auntie Tabitha Brown on like Instagram.
Yes.
And so one of my girlfriends told me about her, and me and my daughter were watching some of her stuff today. And I was like, I was told she had a headache for like a year, and she completely shifted her lifestyle and became vegan, I believe. And and now she has all these different vegan recipes. And my daughter's like, Mom, can we make some carrot bacon?
Yeah.
We can try. Yes, we can try. I've been like Googling like low carb recipes and Googling like, just healthier options.
Yeah.
And so though it may be a little bit more challenging than going to the grocery store and grabbing this processed food that you can just throw in the oven, it's almost a matter of you saying what's most important. Is it more important for me to allocate 5, 10, 15 more minutes to find a healthier option so that we can live longer and so that we can be stronger? Or let me just grab this unhealthy option and then I'll probably have to pay more medical bills.
Yeah, good point.
That I made. And so it's like, what are you going to do, right?
Yeah.
So going into my next question, right? So as the holidays are approaching, Thanksgiving tomorrow, Christmas coming up, New Year's, and people that are dealing with like grief and loss, how can emotions be related to the foods that we eat, especially during this time? Uh-oh, I think I might have lost you. Okay, I think I lost you. Give me one moment, everyone, and I will go ahead and get Ashley back on.
Oh, the joys.
I know. I was like, okay, brief intermission. Give me 1 second. Oh goodness. Technology, right?
Yes.
Let's see here. Oh, so the question I was asking is, as the holidays are approaching,
Yes.
and a lot of people dealing with grief and loss, how can emotions be related to the foods that we eat, especially during this time?
Yeah. So if you're an emotional eater, it's easy. It's easy to do that. So one of the easiest things to kind of run to and grab when you don't know how to process. I can personally relate to that feeling, that grief that you experience in the holiday. I think what's most important is to honoring the person that you're grieving and that loss that you have. Pouring into food does not do that. I think it's just remembering that I lost my sister 2 years ago. And we have made a decision to not, we always think her favorite food was this, and I don't know why the conversations they're always around food.
Yeah.
We involve food on her birthday. On her birthday, we get a cupcake that my family of 4 splits, not a whole sheet cake,
Wow.
a cupcake.
Okay.
But to think of other things, is there a favorite movie they like to watch? My loved Marvin the Martian, and so we watched Space Jam today with the kids, and there's a little segment in there with him, and we honored her in that moment.
Okay.
And that's nice to think about. That filled my cup when I'm thinking about her during the holidays. My daughter grieves very hard. This loss for her, even at such a young age, has really impacted her. So really turning anything she does into honoring Aunt Keisha. So art projects or anything, painting her nails, anything I can relate it to something my sister liked to do. But for me, and then how that relates to me then is, again, loving my family the way that my sister loved us, through my daughter. And so just honoring and thinking about them as the person that they were, not related to food, is maybe how you can kind of mitigate those feelings that you have.
Awesome. I love that. And I like that you said that you have to fill your cup.
Yeah.
And so when you think about filling your cup, our cup should always be full. And we should be giving from the overflow. They should be so full that it's constantly overflowing. And then we're able to, to give to other people. When you get to the point where it's like a little hole in your cup and it's constantly draining out, right?
Yes.
And that's when you start getting into not being well, not being mentally well, not being able to be emotionally available to people, not being able to be present in people's presence. You're just not there, right? And so it's important that even though these may seem like small things that you're doing, they make such the greatest difference, right? Art project, or watching a movie and eating a cupcake, and just little things that loved one that you've lost enjoyed doing, and now you're able to engage in that. That's how you stay well. And you know what I'm saying? And so I think it's important that in this time, when you have, and grief and loss comes in so many different forms. It can come in a divorce. It can come in death. It can come in paralysis. It can come in, amnesia, and all of those different things. Like loss of anything can affect you.
Absolutely.
So finding ways to keep your cup full is important. So generationally, many families, primarily families like in the South or have a heritage in the South, create meals that come from like soul food, right? Soul food tastes good, but it is not always good. So how do we transition from the tasty, familiar meals during this holiday season to more healthier alternatives? And why do you feel like it's so challenging for people to choose that healthier option?
I think there are many challenges. I think a lot of our eating habits are ingrained in us. I am grieving this, the loss of my dad's cooking. I was prepared to not be vegan tomorrow if I was going to my parents' house. And so that can be a struggle in and of itself. To be really honest, I think the perception is that healthy food can be costly. As who kind of works in the community health setting, even access to that food can be tricky. So really just research and commitment is important. Are there resources that can help you find the tools to eat healthy? Again, I appreciate your butter story, because it's just something you did that we wouldn't even think of, something small. So can you just kind of increase your education and knowledge base? Are there community markets where you can get fresh produce? In our area, we have certain neighborhoods that the only market in walking distance is the local corner store. There's not apples and oranges and veggies there. But now, after some research, most of our family shopping is done at Aldi. So we are not breaking the bank eating healthy food. I think in terms of loving that soul food. You have to just be willing to take chances and try new things. My dad did let us cook a piece of the Thanksgiving dinner the last time. So my husband made some vegan roast thing or something or other. Tell I'm not the cook. I don't cook.
Okay.
I'm cooking tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. And I appreciate that. My family, after, like, again, my dad is the cook, and we have eaten a certain way all this time, being open to trying those new things. There are good alternatives today. Being vegan, even 10 years ago, you were just eating French fries, right?
Yeah.
Go to Burger King now and get a vegan burger. I can go to the store and there's with the internet, and there's lots of resources to find. You just have to be willing to put in that work. And again, just kind of that creating that openness within yourself and being willing to try new things. Even if, you may not like it, or it may fail. My tofurkey tomorrow may not taste good, but my will tell me I'm the best cook in the world, and my husband, he'll be all right.
Right. I love it. Oh my goodness. So you spoke to this a little bit earlier, and you said, that Reese's and that Diet Coke, it was like your crack, right?
Mm-hmm.
And anybody that knows anything about substances, crack is highly addictive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what are your thoughts on certain foods being addictive?
Yeah. So I would bite in that Reese's, close my eyes, and feel that warmth kind of come over my body. But there is a reality in that food can be addictive. There's certain additives in food that can cause you to crave more unhealthy foods. There's this push towards sugar alternatives, but really those sugar alternatives make you crave more sugar. So then you're eating more sugar alternatives, which in the end is still bad. So you might eat one cupcake with real sugar and call it a day.
Yeah.
There's other things that can impact that. Who's tired? Because I'm tired. That lack of sleep, that impairs your brain function, and there you go on that next day binge. Low protein intake. So if you're not, focusing on boosting your protein, that can cause a craving for sugar. So there are things happening in your body that you don't even know that's going on, that you don't realize are causing you to want and need those things. I can't even pinpoint which of it, because I'm all of it. I could probably have on days low protein. I'm tired doing, e-learning and working from home with two. And, like, again, with the sugar alternatives, making sure that I'm really paying attention and, to what I'm putting in my body and how that's impacting me. So absolutely food can be addictive. And I felt that. So that's what I believe.
Yeah, so I completely agree, right? And so as I was doing some research just on this topic and how food affects our brain, it says that like sugary foods and salty foods and fatty foods, they have drug-like effects on our brain, on the reward centers of our brain. And so like when you think about those endorphins and those hormones and those chemicals and all of those things that are released when we're doing enjoyable activities, right? They're released when we eat these foods, and because they're released and they feel good, we want to continue that feel good feeling. And so and the more we eat these things, the effect that they're having on our body is causing, loss of self-control. I think it's called the marshmallow test. And so I think it's a marshmallow. It may be another food item, but you sit it in front of a child, right? In front of two children. Whichever child grabs that marshmallow first, it's like you tell them, you can have this marshmallow. I'm going to go out of the room and I'll be back in 5 minutes. If you don't eat the marshmallow, then you'll get 2 or something like that.
Yes, I've heard of this.
Yes. And so they say that the child that actually eats the marshmallow is less likely to fare off well in the future, right? Because it's self-control and impulsivity and all of those different things. And so it's triggering the drive to our loss of self-control. Like we can't control whether or not we eat it. You overeat, like you said, those sugar additives or whatever, you eat more and more. It's like, just eat the cupcake, right? That's almost healthier for you. And then subsequently it's weight gain, right? And so, and in weight gain, you have obesity. If you continue the same behaviors, it's almost like a perpetual cycle that continues and continues and continues.
Absolutely.
So I agree. food can be very addictive. And so if you feel like it's getting to that point, you got to grab hold, you got to be aware, and you got to make the decision to make a change.
Mm-hmm.
And so next question is, how are the foods that we eat related to certain medical diagnoses?
So I think that most of us know that what we eat can cause issues for us later in life, you know, diabetes, heart disease, cholesterol, cancer, among others, are impacted by our diet. There's a lot of conversation about genetics, and genetics may absolutely play a role. But like I mentioned earlier, I believe that not only are passed down generation to generation, our eating habits are as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of your diet can do that. And so then you have poor diet along with medical kind of conditions that are, you know, flowing through the family, through generations. There's a lot of research out there, and now even documentaries, you know, that you can watch on Netflix that talk about the impact of food on health. I kind of leave it up to the individual to research. I'm not trying to preach to anybody to go vegan. There is a diet out there for everybody. I even struggle with the diet on some days. But our specific change came for two reasons. Like I said, my husband, he had read the China study, and that was it's a book. It's a hefty book that I have not read, but it was the largest human nutrition study that provided statistically significant data on the impact of diet on health. So linking certain animal proteins that we're consuming to cancer, to diabetes. That we're both healthcare providers, so he is very data driven, and so that was the reason that we made the change. For me, our daughter has a medical condition where she has an allergy that is difficult to determine by a simple allergy test. And at such a young age, to limit invasive procedures, I was like, I'm on board with whatever will keep her well. And so eliminating most of the foods that could likely cause her issue was I kind of bought into that. So again, that was diet affecting my daughter's health at that time. So very much your diet, it can impact your health at a young as age as my daughter was 4 months when she started having issues, you know, all the way through, you know, later on in life.
Okay, awesome. So next, like, how can we begin to cut cravings for unhealthy foods?
Yeah, so commitment and forgiveness. I'm going to go back to my relationship statuses here. Your relationship with food is like a relationship with a significant other, with another, you know, person that maybe you're romantic with or not. It could be a friend. You know, it can be great. It can be hard. It can be volatile even. You know, I hope not. Are you willing to put in the work? And when a mistake is made, can you practice forgiveness and move forward and do better?
That's good. So this is actually like the last question I have for you.
Okay.
But what are some of the benefits of eating healthier foods?
You feel better. Like I said, I still struggle some days with my diet, and I give in and I go get Mexican with my friends, and I don't feel great after. I don't feel bloated anymore. Believe it or not, I am less tired. I can't imagine what I would feel like on a different diet with everything that's going on in my life. You have just a natural boost of energy without the need of sugary drinks, energy drinks, whatever else. I'm actually, even within my last, I require less coffee even.
Oh, wow.
And coffee, I can drink a black coffee now. I don't prefer the taste, but I can drink it just to eliminate some of that sugar. And then, excuse me, I already mentioned kind of the negative impacts diet can have. You know, reversely, you can, if you have a medical condition, a diet change can have positive impact. So, and then always losing weight is a benefit. I don't like to focus on that.
Yeah.
But the reality is some people are out there just to lose weight, and that's what keeps you going. More power to you. You just have to be prepared for and then plateaus when it comes to that.
So I know individuals that practice multiple types of diets. So you have the keto diet, you have the paleo diet, you have the I think it's the Whole30 diet.
Yes.
Vegan, vegetarian. It's so many different diets that you can have. Like, how can a person know what's best for them?
That's a really good question. You know, I think that
it's a matter of choice, you think?
I think it's a matter of choice, and because no one diet is going to be perfect for the individual. I can say, if you ask my husband, he might tell you our diet is probably the best diet. But if I'm talking to somebody who has a gluten intolerance, that we are supposed to eat lots of wheat.
Mm-hmm.
Eat wheat, you just
Yeah.
know what the components of that diet are. I'm not supposed to have dairy, so a diet dairy, that doesn't make me feel good. I don't think you have to do anything too extensive. I think you have to know your body,
Mm-hmm.
know about your own health and wellness, and figure out what you can manage. Because the other thing too, believe it or not, aside from like no meat and no animal protein, our diet is not as restrictive as one might think. I can eat all the fruits and veggies I want. I can eat all the carbs I want if I as long as it's the right carbs. And I love me some carbs just as much as I love sweets. So that was actually a huge, plus for me, because when you tell me no carbs, I'm like, that's like half my meal, like all my meals. So I think it's just educating yourself and knowing your body, and then choosing, and it may be trial and error, to some effect.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. So after having this conversation about food and mental health, right, can you provide our listeners with some tips and tools on how to create a healthy relationship with food, or even choosing healthier food options?
Yeah, I think start small. Like I said, our change was going to be a major shift, and I know that I can't do that. I am one where small wins equal huge success. So again, know your person, know what you can do. I have done restrictive diets before. I have, did everything, paid a lot of money, and lost a lot of weight, and been successful in that, and kept most of it off, gained half of it back. That was pre-kids, right? And then before, the added cost of that, I can't do that anymore. So I just think you have to know what you are able to do from day to day in your life, in terms of, accessibility, in terms of budget, and then truly just what you're wanting, from this. Is it, a few good healthy choices? Is it a major shift change? And then what are your goals as a result of that? Just feeling better? Is it losing weight? And again, just being okay with kind of ups and downs and ebbs and flows, and being able to kind of move forward from that, because that's one where once I failed, I completely fell off the wagon and just decided it wasn't for me. And I think it's just changing that mentality. And again, mental health, because your mental health is what impacts all of that decision making as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you so much, Ashley. It has been amazing. Before we get off, I have a little drum roll. I kind of told you some things that I had been working on when we were, talking briefly before we came on the live. So I'm gonna do a little.
I can't make that sound. I'll do that.
So I have been working. I actually created this. It's not the typical ebook. It is a ebook workbook, because here at Conversations with a Clinician, our goal is not to just talk and to have these conversations. The goal is, just like I asked you, what are some practical tips or tools that the everyday person can do to change their relationship with food, to improve it, so that they can feel better, so that they can be better? So, food impacts our mental health, right? So what can they do? So this is a 3-part workbook. I'm so excited. I wrote this in 7 days. Like, the ideas were coming and it was flowing. And it's full of tools that we can add into our toolkit. So volume 1 will be released on Black Friday. I'm so excited. And this is just there's some things that'll, I'll have it circulating on my page and things like that. But if you all are interested, if you know anybody that is interested that can benefit from activities to gain or regain control of their lives, please, please, please dive in. It is full of activities, journal activities, worksheets.
Yes. Journaling.
Yes, real life stuff that we can use to just to get a hold on stuff. With this pandemic going on, things have just been like way out of our control, so much uncertainty. And so it's time for us to kind of grab hold and make those small steps to regain control of our lives. So that is all that I have for you all. I do want to say thank you for joining tonight's edition of Conversation with a Clinician on Food and Mental Health with my twin name, Ashley. Yeah, she gave us some really important things that we can do to begin to shift our relationship with food, and just go ahead and sign the divorce papers, right?
Yes.
So we can get a new boo, right?
Yes. Yes.
And get started on a healthier lifestyle. Anything else you want to leave our listeners with, Ash?
No, I just want to say, you can do this. I had all the excuses in the world. Trust me. And it is possible. I love what you're providing in terms of, support and resources, the journaling activities. Find something that is tangible for you that can help you through this, and you will be successful. So that's what I kind of have to say.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ashley. I look forward to talking to you soon.
Oh, yes.
Have a happy vegan Thanksgiving tomorrow.
Thank you.
And let me know how the cooking goes.
I will.
Okay. All right. Good night.
Bye, guys.
Bye.